What's up, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to another episode of our Major League Rugby series on the Bonus Point podcast. Once again, I'm your host, TJ Olsen, and today's episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsors. First off, Whalebird Kombucha. If you're looking for a great tasting beverage that is actually good for you, go try them out at your local Whole Foods, Air One, and other health food stores. Secondly, the Rugby Nation. The Rugby Nation are leaders in strength and conditioning specifically for rugby players. They'll be releasing their 30-day Shred Fat Like the Pros program next month, which includes all the nutritional info. And the best part is no gym is required. So that's really good. I'm really looking forward to doing that one. I'll be doing the challenge over the 30 days and posting my progress photos. So look out via our social media pages and the Rugby Nation website for more details. Lastly, OsteoStrong Los Angeles. So OsteoStrong is a unique state-of-the-art center that is located in Mar Vista, and they've got outstanding results in strengthening bones, joints, and muscles. And in just 10 minutes per week, you can increase your strength, bone density, improve posture, balance, and most importantly for rugby players, your athletic performance. So if you're interested, go check out osteostrongla.com to book your free consultation today. So on today's episode, we're talking all about the announcement of MLR's new start date due to the pandemic, news about a potential bid for a Midwest MLR side, and on today's bonus point segment, me and the boys are going to do a mini draft using the newest players who have joined the MLR, and we pick 5 players for our team. So with that in mind, we have to introduce our regular guest analysts from the Rugby Index, who are the leading digital platform for the player tracking, market values, and team rosters. Please welcome the Wonder Twins, Cam and Walker Tice. What's up, fellas? How we doing?
Doing well. How are you?
Yeah, it's been a little while since an episode, but obviously a lot's happened in between. So super excited to jump just straight into the episode. But let's just go straight into our rapid recap segment first. So I keep saying this every week. I keep thinking that it's going to be a dull segment and it's going to be nice, short and sharp. But once again, more signings and re-signings happening in Major League Rugby. So Walker, if you want to just kick us off, let's go through our rapid recap.
Yeah, kind of to your point, it seems like eventually it's going to tear off and then it quite never does. But that's what makes it fun. Starting out the top, we'll go with Austin. Another international at hooker, Robbie Coetzee. Big signing coming over from the Lions in Super Rugby. I'm excited for that one as a front rower myself. Kelly Kohlberg, Matt Frings signed to Dallas as associate players. You've got Mike Brown coming in from New York, Chaz Schwenk, Raheem Powell, who is a prop out of, oh gosh, I totally draw a blank on the college. It's an escrow, but very athletic prop coming in. Quite honestly, was surprised he didn't get drafted, probably due to the level of competition, but huge upside for him. Sean Hardig and Will Bakalahai with DC, and then they signed James King, the prop, Stephen Longwell prop, Jamie Dever prop, and can also position into the hooker position when needed.
Man, lots of props getting signed. I'm loving it. It's usually all the superstar backs. I'm loving the props.
I think the one thing about DC, I think I was looking through this while I was kind of prepping the list. I think we can kind of guess that the Beast is not going to be back based on the signings they're having right now with, Yeah,
he announced that he's not
2
back.
internationals in the front row. I mean, if you're talking about your 8 internationals on starting day, 2 of them are already in front row, and you haven't announced the Beast, you got to kind of assume he's not coming back.
Yeah, he already announced he's not coming back, and he, I mean, regardless with them in there, they initially had some challenges in their pack. Obviously, we only had 5 games to explore what their type 5 and pack looked like, but in the 5 games, that was certainly the weaker point of their team. Had some really good backs at the 9 and 10 especially, and then you throw in Threat and Palamu in the centers. They were pretty solid in the back line, but DC, if there is an area to improve, it certainly was in the pack and specifically, I think that front row. Will, obviously a 6 foot, 275 pound prop, but very young, only 21 years old, came and discontinued college, came into the league. I think he has a bright future, not just in the league, but most certainly with the national team. Honestly, he is surprised he hasn't been called into camp quite yet, but I think it's all in due time. It's just a matter of formality at this rate for him because he's plugging right along. Following suit, we've got Charlie Connolly returning to Houston, Tommy Morani, Val Lilo, and then actually another young kind of superstar in the making, I hope, Zach Godfrey. He is U.S. eligible coming out of the Leicester Academy. So really interesting to see how he works not only into the Houston setup with their new academy system, if he splits time, if he is strictly in the MLR campaign, but Houston also has a large addition, quite frankly. Jeremy and Jeremy Lenhartz, the Belgian international, is also U.S. eligible, but coming over from Seattle, jumping to New England, continues to be very, very active. Bowden Waka, the utility back, jack of all trades, 14 appearances with New Zealand Sevens.
Super excited for that one. I've seen him play a few times, and he rips, bro. He's really good.
Yeah, rips. I love it. Kyle Sequeira, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly, but again, a prop. Quentin Newcomer, prop. And then Ronan McCusker, lock. He's a convert. And then Connor Kindred, a lock as well. Ronan coming over from football, obviously. Then you jump into the signings. Joe Johnson, while he was drafted, he was Joe Johnston coming over from Bay of Plenty, which we were just talking about, Miter 10. Xander Voss, a prop formerly of Southern Kings, is a major addition to that front row for them. Peter.
So just quickly with that one, I'll be really interested to see what happens in the following season, because it's looking like the 4 South African teams that are going from Super Rugby into Pro 14, Pro 16, what they want to call it, competition, they'll probably get rid of the Southern Kings and one other, the Cheetahs. So it'll be interesting to see where all those players go after that following season. They may be more signings that will just come into the Major League Rugby competition, so that'll be pretty cool.
Yeah, well, and honestly, really interested to see what happens in Super Rugby as a whole, not to have too far of a tangent here, because obviously Kanaloa, and we'll touch on that much later, they had ambitions of joining the league, but even the Asia Pacific Dragons, who most recently joined World 10 Series, and again, in the time that things are getting crazy, so is rugby, and we're introducing 10s, and honestly, I'm excited for it. A group, Tiger Rugby is leading the charge out of Columbus and Atlanta and their different homes, but Asia Pacific Dragons also have ambitions of joining Super Rugby. So it sounds like there's going to be a whole lot of shaking up going on, which I'm here for it.
Yeah.
New York started out fast and furious. They did re-sign Charlie Hewitt and then Kirk Hamilton, the prop, just announced today. You jump to New Orleans, JP Eloff. Gosh, I can't wait till this guy is healthy, because he has had double-digit appearances with the national team, but the last 2 or 3 seasons just can't stay healthy. He can play 10, 12, 13, 15. I've never really seen him on the wing, but I'm confident he could play there if he needed.
He could definitely play there. Yeah.
We've played against him down in Cincinnati, and the guy, I mean, yeah, he shows up where he wants on the field, and doesn't matter where he lines up, he's making a play.
Yeah, well, and that's what you love in a back is if he's playing 15, he can step into that 10 role at any given time. If somebody's caught in a breakdown or whatever it might be, switching field, and that's what makes NOLA so dangerous. And of course, they've already got a pretty solid backline in the central midfield. So add him in healthy, I'm really excited. And leading right into that, JP Duplessis, holy crap, I can't believe he left San Diego, but signing a 4-year contract with New Orleans. And as far as I know, that's the only 4-year contract I've heard of, aside from what they tried to accomplish with Blewett before he left. And as far as I understand, they still have the rights to Blewett. So, gosh, if you get Eloff healthy, JP Duplessis joins, and then if for all others in the East, forbid that Blewett comes back, that's a dangerous back line.
Yeah, they'll be a force to be reckoned with for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Ryan Mattias rejoins with San Diego. I don't think we anticipated him going anywhere else. Nathan Sylvia, prop. David Tomilau, Really excited for him. I don't want to say has been quiet, but in a very talented San Diego team has maybe flown under the radar in all relativity. But him, Sam Wuching, and then of course Chris Robshaw. Excuse me, David. I don't know where I'm going with that. Chris Robshaw. Gosh, that's got to be the best loose forward group in MLR down there in San Diego, and then you add in Bjorn Basson, a fullback with 11 appearances for the South African national team. Pretty stoked to see a lot of the talent coming overseas and a lot that's been retained.
Yeah, so it's pretty crazy to think about how far Major League Rugby's come. So you look at a lot of the players that first started in the competition, pretty fringe US players, or just like guys that are just in the system. And now we're getting guys that are coming through who are former test players, and not just guys that have played 1 or 2 caps. They've got a lot of experience and a lot of I guess talent to offer. So I think the first in that whole group, I think who really stand out for me, obviously, it's close to my heart, Nate Sylvia being re-signed for San Diego. He was one of the first guys I coached when I moved to California. And I've seen from day one how much potential he has. Super happy that San Diego is sticking with him because he's come up big for the Legion these last couple of seasons. The second one is Joe Johnston for the Free Jacks. He doesn't have an extensive Mitre 10 Cup history, but I spoke to a couple of boys in New Zealand who have played with him at Bay of Plenty, and he's definitely got a lot to offer for the Free Jacks, and I think he's definitely going to provide just a lot for the Major League Rugby competition in general. And 2 other ones, obviously, we spoke about it. JP Duplessis going to NOLA. Obviously, that's a pretty crazy one to leave San Diego. But like you said, it's going to be very interesting to see how they do with that whole dynamic, with him leading the charge as one of the more experienced players. And the last one that I was super interested in was Matt Fring. So to come in as one of their hookers, you said he was an associate player. Is that right?
I may have
Dallas.
So Kelly Kohlberg, and then they signed another associate player.
Yeah, it's Frings.
He'll operate as a strength and conditioning coach. But both of them are which Kelly Kohlberg they were announced as developmental players. I think an associate player might be more accurate. Kelly Kohlberg is 35, I believe. So developmental player. Maybe a bit misleading there, but obviously we'll be part of the team, and if nothing else, we'll bring maybe a little bit of veteran presence in the sport just to a relatively pretty young team. So that's
kind of like
in the locker room,
kind of like a Dan Carter coming into the Blues. He won't necessarily play any games, but he'll definitely provide a lot for the team. And I think the one thing I really like the most about this, though, is that he's going to come in as the S&C coach as well for the Dallas Harlequins. And I like that. We spoke about it, about how a lot of clubs obviously are trying to get marquee players and a lot of great talent to come to the Major League Rugby, and the contracts and the price of those contracts may be an issue. And I think providing other revenue streams like this is definitely the way to go to try and get some players like that here. So it's definitely a good option. I'm really enjoying that kind of aspect of it. Cam, is there anyone that you saw on that list that you are really excited for, or just someone that you were quite surprised about being signed?
I mean, you guys touched on all the blockbuster ones. I guess just reiterating, I'm probably most excited about seeing JP Duplessis. I truly don't know how San Diego let him go. I think they're just insane that they should be checked into a mental institute for letting him go. Honestly, I mean, he was phenomenal last year. Phenomenal. His first 2, I think he was there for 2 years. I don't think he was there with the original squad, but the last 2 years there, he was just unbelievable. Yeah. And the chemistry they had in their back line, it was phenomenal. They with Osberger and Peterson, and just it was just unreal how star-studded their back line was. So I'm pretty surprised they didn't keep the band together, as they say. So I don't know that anyone else that you guys haven't already touched on stuck out to me, though.
Maybe just one follow-up to that is I wonder if it is because of a constraint of salary cap, and you have a guy that Um, I'm remiss if he was player of the year or back of the year, all the same. Had a phenomenal season in Duplessis. Duplessis, I'm pronouncing it wrong, par for the course.
Don't worry, we gave you free course, especially when you tried to pronounce all those Polynesian names, and you did quite well. So yeah, you get a free pass on in anything on this.
Thank you. But I guess my point is that I wonder if it's a constraint of salary cap. You bring in Rob Shaw. I'm sure Saul Mooting to continue to retain is not inexpensive. And of course, Ma'ananu is back with Toulon. He's not coming back to San Diego, presumably. But they've got some depth there at the center position. Ryan Mattias, Dylan Osley, who again is another guy that can kind of slot in just about anywhere. But they've got some depth there. I wonder if they're just trying to get younger and more inexpensive in the back line to then free up some dollars to spend or retain what they have in the pack, because I'm sure I know Rob Shaw is not inexpensive in relativity to MLR, let alone rugby. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of the reason for letting him go.
Yeah, it's probably more of an incentive as well as that 4-year contract, like we spoke about, is they aren't throwing a lot of them around. So having that security as well may be definitely a factor in choosing to leave or getting let go. But let's move into just the main talking points. So we've done a rapid recap, and our first talking point is going to be about Kanaloa. So obviously we've got Cam wearing the lovely Kanaloa t-shirt that I'm actually really jealous about. I want to get one of those. And just talking about just general what their next steps are, what you guys are hearing. And obviously a lot of fans are very disappointed that they didn't get the green light from the Major League Rugby, I guess, boardroom or the main decision makers. But I want to kind of pick your brain about why that could be. So we've spoken about a few instances, like maybe it could be the venue, maybe it could be funding, a whole list of reasons. I'll start with you, Walker, first. What do you think is the main reason why they probably didn't get the go ahead?
Main reason, quite frankly, I don't know. Based off of speculation, my guess is it's going to be something with a venue where Aloha Stadium is most certainly way too large. It's under renovation right now, and from my understanding, it's a multi-year project, which would be good for the team in the long run and hopefully a home. But in the short term, to find either a tenant venue and or create one, I know there was some talk about creating something similar to Bold Stadium. Cam Kilgore had spent some time in Austin and was at least familiar with how they set up their temporary venue. And so I have to believe that was probably one of the biggest hurdles to cross in such a short period of time. And myself, having lived that expansion process, obviously in MLS, but gosh, there were probably 50 times that it was on and then 50 times it was off in a matter of 6-7 months. So to say that maybe one duck wasn't in a row in such a short turnaround time, because it definitely seemed like they were maybe pressed for time to get in with Colorado leaving. I don't know if it was suddenly or if it was a bit anticipated Colorado leaving, but Kanaloa pressed in a very short relative timeline. I'm not surprised that maybe one or two ducks weren't in a row, and the league itself gave the impression that it's not a no, it's just a not right now. So vague answer, not very concise, but I think in due time we'll see Kanaloa and MLR.
And I think the main point is, like you said, it's not a no, it's just a not right now. And we do foresee that they will be joining us in the future. But yeah, big credit to them, because they did have a lot to do in such a short period of time. And when I did speak to Cam Kilgore multiple times during that period, he was basically flat out. His day was just filled with everything, and he's got a lot to handle in his own personal life, let alone trying to get a Major League Rugby team off the ground. So yeah, big props to them for at least trying to do it. But Cam, I think the question I want to ask you is what do you think their next step should be now? Do you think that they should pump all their resources now into getting that I guess, that bid for a Super Rugby team, or do you think that they should still keep their resources split and just keep planning for the future of Major League plus Super Rugby as well?
The fan in me says go for Super Rugby. I think it would make it a surface level, would make it just that much more dynamic, kind of to the same effect of the Asia Pacific Dragons trying to gain some traction on a bid for it. They have the similar idea of bringing resources and pathways to players of smaller Pacific nations, more ways of getting in front of big time crowds and all that in the league and Super Rugby. I think personally they need to. I don't know that's something they should probably table and revisit later. I don't know that that opportunity comes up again, but it's probably something they should probably table. Quite frankly, I think the biggest reason they didn't get in to MLR is because of COVID. All we're talking about right now is, November, December, January, there's going to be at least expected to be a resurgence of cases, everything. And there's no place more difficult to get in or out of during a pandemic than a tiny island in the middle of the Pacific. And if that happens in the middle of an MLR season, what happens? What if the other 13 clubs are playing and we're talking about, it's a single entity model. It's the MLR revenue shares with every single team. Well, how do the revenue shares shake out with that if they're stuck on an island, not able to play, but everybody else is? I truly think it came down to, it seemed like to be a byproduct of COVID that they had this opportunity, but honestly it was sort of, in my eyes, was their demise is just not being able to because of the contingencies. They just weren't, they weren't able to overcome. You can plan in X, Y, and Z, A through Z, come up with the contingents, but at the end of the day, if Hawaii, they were one of the last states to lift like a 14-day ban, quarantine when entering the state. If that happens again, and obviously they're going to be much more stringent than other states, I think there's all likelihood that they were going to miss games, if not most of the season, due to outbreaks. And on top of that, what does the local government say about a 30, 40, 50-person group traveling back and forth on a maybe not week-to-week basis, but a bi-weekly basis, bringing in, potential cases?
Yeah, I think aside from Australia and New Zealand and a handful of other countries, they were probably the one place where you'd sit there and go, they're doing COVID right. They're taking a lot of precautions. They're making sure that the quarantine process, they're not being relaxed like a lot of other places in the US. They were making sure, hey, it's just like when I was looking into moving to Hawaii at one point in time and looking at bringing my dog, their quarantine process for pets is just as bad to get through as Australia and New Zealand. You have to pay thousands and thousands of dollars. You have to quarantine them for a certain amount of time. But if you did it in America, you can bring over whoever the freaking hell you want. So, yeah, I think, there's definitely a lot of factors. And I do think that if they did have the opportunity to go to Super Rugby, as a fan, I'm the same. I would love to see that. But then the argument comes up again is South Africa left, and one of the big contingents from Super Rugby was that the travel distance and that kind of stuff. So would this team have to be based somewhere in a Pacific island like a Samoa or a Tonga or a Fiji, something like that, off base? So, yeah, it's big ups to them for at least trying to get it done. And I'm very disappointed that COVID is such a big factor. But let's hope to see them in the 2021-2022 season, because everybody wants to see a bloody Hawaiian team in there. But yeah, I think
that's honestly what they should do is, pursue that MLR. But what we've seen, from other clubs, Atlanta, DC, New England, New York, Toronto, all of them have done exhibition seasons before maybe not before they got their bid approved, but they all did exhibition seasons just to show, hey, we can do the damn thing. And then they, went in and to, kind of play the long ball on it and show that you can do it. Set up exhibitions with some of the West Coast.
Kind of like a soft opening when you're opening a business.
Yeah.
Like, you do like a small one, and then people come in and you go, okay, yeah, now this will work. This will be
And
all
there's
right.
plenty of West Coast clubs they can play over there. They can play, some of these select sides for, or I'm sorry, not select, but the academy sides and select sides. You could play Pacific Pride up in BC area. There's tons of clubs that you can put together an exhibition season and show, hey, we pull the talent, we've got the travel plans in place, and I think they're, and then on top of that, hey, we did it through COVID. Even if 2021, 22, there's still COVID is still relevant, which it sounds like it might be. They can say, hey, we've already overcome it with our exhibition. Here's how our plans will work.
Yeah, well, okay. Yeah, let's be optimistic, because I'm hating COVID. I've hated COVID for the last six, 7 months, and I don't think it's going away anytime soon. But yeah, let's just be optimistic and see how it goes. But we'll move on to our next topic, and that's the announcement of the season starting in March 20th. 2021, and I've spoken to various groups of people about the latest start date, and also been featured on a couple of podcasts talking about it. And there are a lot of people saying that this is the best course of action due to the pandemic, player welfare, various other concerns, but it's also going to put a lot of strain on schedules for a lot of other competitions. And I know we've spoken about it before. Most of the sevens tournaments, obviously, especially the early ones like Dubai and Sydney and Hamilton, they're not going to be going ahead because you just can't have them at this point in time, and there's just nowhere to plan for them. But you still have the Olympics that have pushed back until next year. You've got a lot of international test matches that may be pushed into that area. Will these scheduling conflicts pull the MLR squads into disarray, or will this be a great way for your younger MLR talent to get some experience under their belts? So, Walker, I'll go to you first. Does this later start date, pros and cons list, is it going to be good for the league, or is it going to be bad for the league?
Playing devil's advocate, you can plan for what you can control, and outside of that, you can't. You can talk about 100 different scenarios of test matches and sevens and this, that, and the other in COVID, and you can control what you can control. And unfortunately, if outside decisions affect that, you can try to mitigate it, but without knowing in advance, you got to do the best you can in the moment. So hats off to them. They, again, made the right decision in player safety and welfare to postpone the start of the season. Quite frankly, and I don't mean this in a negative connotation, but I'm surprised it wasn't later.
I was surprised by that too. I was quite surprised.
So that's not a knock. I'm glad that they took it into account, player welfare, and that is a very prevalent conversation in other facets, not exclusive to COVID, but an even hotter topic because of that. But no, I think it's the right decision. It's an imminent decision that they have to make. You give the teams a lot more ability to play later on. Even if you lose some of your star players, if you're able to play games later in the year, most importantly with fans in attendance, that means you're making money. And that's beyond ticket sales, that's merchandise, that's concessions, that's parking. And you bring more value to your sponsorships in the stadium because you have actual eyeballs on them. Obviously, you get some of that replicated with broadcast, but those sponsors, especially whether it's some of the banners or signs, static signs, or even, I don't know that too many of the fields have digital video boards, but for any of the signage that is there, they're expecting and banking on having eyeballs on them throughout the season. And so from both a player welfare and a business operational standpoint, I think it was the most logical decision. Cons, I think you highlighted them, and you might run into other competitions, but for the longevity of the league, I think it was a no-brainer to push the start date back. Gosh.
Yeah, I think it's definitely something. We'll use an example of Major League Baseball. It's the Florida Marlins. They got going and then they were done a week later. So I do agree with you. It's definitely for the longevity and just for the viability of the league. Definitely the right decision to make, and we will probably run into those situations when the Olympics come up and other things like that. But Cam, do you agree with that?
Yeah, I think Walker hit the nail on the head with it's about player welfare. And you know, I think it's been said time and time again by other podcasts and just other media outlets, but it gives them time to plan. You know, as we've seen, you know, the medical advances that are being made right now, testing is getting stronger, turnaround times are shorter. I will watch what news I can while my brain will allow it. It sounds like that there's a quote unquote cure in the testing phase. So hopefully there's something by, you know, January, February this year that we can say is a cure over the counter. And, you know, we'll kind of reopen everything back to some normalcy.
And that's the big debate as well, though, is that if a cure does come out, a lot of people are very hesitant to be the first people to go and jump and be like, oh, I can use it, because they're the guinea pigs for the testing of it. Obviously, the product's got to go through the FDA and a lot of other I guess tiers before it gets approved. But definitely, we've seen drugs in the past that have been approved, put on the market, and then you see very bad side effects at the end. So I think that's another conversation in itself. But yeah, definitely, I think that's definitely going to be a factor. But the one I want to kind of touch on as well is I guess the team culture and the team dynamic. So with some of these players coming in and out, whether they have to go to a sevens or play international competition, most of these older heads, the guys that have played test match rugby before, they won't be getting called into their international teams. Some of the Argentinian guys, maybe some maybe like one of the handful of the Belgium or the Romanian, those random guys, some Canadians. Do you think that will mess with the team dynamic, or will I guess it would be so small, they'll be able to maintain that culture and just get a couple of new guys in to fill those spots?
I think it's a team-by-team base. Obviously, the team that probably comes to mind first is Toronto. I mean, there's Canadian nationals on there left and right for obvious reasons. But then, you know, other clubs too would, you know, it just is a case by case. And I to your question, to answer directly, yeah, I really think that messes with the chemistry and the dynamic of a team, because, you know, if you have guys coming and going, it's not so much we've all played on, you know, a Saturday, you know, old boys tournament or social tournament where it's you throw 20 guys together and it's, hey, let's have some beers before and after the match, and you know, it's fun to play, but you don't really feel like you're playing for much other than a good time. And I don't think that's great for the product on the field. So I think, yeah, it would ultimately hurt the product.
A bit apples to oranges there, MLR to Bailey.
I felt like I was in the MLR sometimes when I was running, and it might have just been an extra beer or two.
But I think you bring up a good point in Toronto. I foresee them having a lot of hurdles to cross because, to your point, they have a healthy number of Canadians filling out their ranks, but they also have a lot of South Americans and Argentinians on their team. I don't know if any of those guys get called into the national team, but if one of them does, and you compound that by multiple Canadians getting pulled out, that's tough. And especially for a team that is, I mean, I think Austin's maybe, if you want to call them the dark horse, I think Toronto's probably the front runner with Rooney right now in the East.
Yeah, I'd agree with that, definitely.
So, like, you pull some of those top tier guys out at the very end of the season, whether it's playoffs or forbid it's the championship. Those are the difference makers. Those are the guys that they are expected to be the difference of winning a championship versus just making the playoffs. And to not have those guys, a lot of teams are going to be thinking, what if, I wish, but that's, again, we theoretically know that now, build that depth, expect, plan for the worst, hope for the best, expect to maybe be missing a guy or two at the end of the season. And I think with the start date now, you can really start to roll in some of these overseas guys. You have a very specific start time and window that they need to be here. So for work visas and access and quarantine and everything like that coming into the nation, you can give them a very specific time frame to then come in. And I think I wouldn't be surprised if we see a very late push going into the season with guys coming in from overseas of high-end talent. Maybe guys a little bit later in their career, but all the same top-tier talent for MLR. And now that we've got a concise window for them to be here, I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple more big signings coming in.
All right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's obviously all up in the air at the moment. We won't really know until we see it. But, yeah, it'll definitely be interesting. And I'm more so excited to see these younger guys get some opportunities when these guys come in and out of the teams. For example, like a Patrick Madden for a San Diego side who was just drafted, getting him some opportunities to play in that kind of dynamic and get him just some reps under his belt. So that way the following season, they won't have to worry about that logistical stuff, hopefully, and he'll be able to get his way into that squad. But let's move on to our third topic. And we spoke about it before, is that on the MLR kickoff, there was a Midwest-based expansion team that is supposedly said to be in a 90-day exclusive negotiation period. I haven't been really keeping up with this one because Midwest, I don't really have too many holes in different areas to keep in touch. And but this is something that a lot of fans have been saying they need. They've always saying there's a big, massive part of the United States that isn't being covered, and they need pro rugby in that part of the country. So the big question is, where would this team be based? So Walker, or Cam, do you guys know specifically where this bid has been placed?
No, for certain. No, not 100%. My strong hunch is that it's out of Chicago, and I think whether it's this team now or 5 years down the road, I think we'll see a team in Chicago. I mean, how can you not?
Especially with Soldier Field being there, like especially you could do maybe a back-to-back. You could do an MLR game and then a test match afterwards or something like that, or same weekend or something like that. It's definitely an option.
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer. And gosh, I mean, when they brought in New Zealand and then New Zealand played Ireland a few years later and USA played the Maori All Blacks, they sold it out every time. And we were there, Cam and I were there for I think it was maybe 2012 when they played the All Blacks, and it was brutal to watch, but it was sold out. It was sold out.
I've seen the All Blacks play a handful of times, obviously in New Zealand and Australia, but the one thing I always wanted to do was go see it. And like, I've seen the All Black Sevens play in LA and in Vegas, but seeing an All Blacks game in America, to watch everyone just go crazy over the haka, just all that stuff. I wanted to see it. I was so disappointed I didn't get to see it. What was the atmosphere like? Was it just pandemonium?
Pre-game, yeah, it was a zoo. And then to be honest, what you bring up the haka, you could hear a pin drop when they were doing the haka, and everybody was so just intrinsically captivated by New Zealand, and of course, who wouldn't be if you have any appreciation for the sport and the tradition of the sport, who wouldn't be captivated by that? But you could hear a pin drop, and then USA actually started out in the first 15, 20 minutes. They played pretty well.
Yeah, I remember hearing that, and I was very surprised by it.
I think at one point it was tied or close to being tied. It was like 7-5. New Zealand was up. USA had it was just some random line break. I think it was quick ball out, winger got free and kind of just took it down the sideline. And then he was like, okay, you guys want to play? They turned into a slaughter from there. But
they had a couple. USA had a couple of conversions, and the All Blacks were like, "All right, well, time to do All Black things.
Time to get fourth string off. Let's put on second string."
Yeah, they ripped off, I think, 60-something points, and I forget what the final was, but it was ballpark 70-something to 12, I think. And as much as I love the experience, I've maybe compartmentalized some of it into the back of my brain, but then even post game, nobody was sad, nobody was upset. I think we all had realistic expectations, and at least our contingency from Cincinnati, we had a fun time that night, and a lot of the old boys knew guys in Chicago, and so it was just a building of the sport, and I think that again is what is different about our sport. But we digress, and back into the expansion team and potential of Chicago. There was recently a pretty massive merger that happened with the Griffins and a number of other women's and lower division men's clubs and some academy and even high school programs that they formed, basically a tiered program of every single level of American rugby, and women's, men's, high school academy. And so, and I'm trying to remember his name. There was a gentleman that moved from Dallas. He ran, I believe, the Dallas Reds program and moved to Chicago and is heading this up. And I'm totally remiss of his name. But he's running the program, and to be totally honest, I'm looking at their website now to try to remember it, but
it's the best way to do it. Just Google the crap out of it. Yeah.
Yeah. But I have to believe that was in consolidation for this bid. Chicago is a staple of Midwest rugby. And I think the Lions would have been the first guess to do it with their finances already in line and their Hope Field, which is absolutely spectacular. But there was some rumor mill that they were maybe tentative to join MLR because it would hinder a lot of the things that they want to do on a club level rugby. But that's all rumor mill.
All right, Cam, you're up. Where do you think the team's being announced, or where do you want one to be?
Well, Walker's still the obvious choice, but I think it goes back to the interview with Killebrew, and he mentions a number of cities, and we as people and the human mind, we give examples based off of some level of truth. So he named Kansas City, St. Louis, also included with Chicago. So if it's not Chicago, I think it's got to be either St. Louis or Kansas City. In the very beginnings of the MLR, kind of on the coattails of pro rugby and that debacle, Kansas City actually had a huge push for a initial MLR club. I don't know what prevented it, but I do know that there was a large or very strong group that probably just missed it by a mark or two to putting everything together for an MLR club. But for some time there, I really thought there would be a Kansas City inaugural season. So I wouldn't be surprised if that group got back together and said, hey, let's pool some more resources, get some stronger investment, et cetera, whatever it is. And, they've kind of revisited that avenue. And it would be very good. Kansas City is a very centric location, very close to the Texas teams. And it's a very cultural city with I think it's a great sports town, everything above.
Yeah, I think just the main talking point is just going to be we need a Midwest team, because if I have to see another set of 100 fans abuse people over Facebook or say why isn't there a team and just bitch and moan about it when they have valid points, but they're screaming at fans that run a Facebook page and they don't make any decisions, I think that'll definitely take a lot of pressure off a lot of people. So as long as we get one, I think that'll be good. And then we can create that fan base there. But yeah, let's just get it rolling, and hopefully we'll be able to find out soon who that team will be. And I'm actually really, really hoping there'll be a Miami side coming really soon, because I have never been to Miami since I was like 3 years old, and I just want to go down to South Beach when there's no COVID. So enjoy the lovely weather and some great rugby. So that'll be good. Have there ever been rugby tournaments in Miami before?
I think there's a beach rugby. That's,
of course.
I don't know if it. Yeah, I mean, let's be honest. Of course, there's beach rugby in Miami. I wouldn't be surprised if there's a Miami team. Miami Sun joined World Tens, and I wholeheartedly forget where I heard it, but supposedly Gary Gold is involved. I don't know at what level. Obviously, head coach of the men's national team, and this is maybe me making connections that aren't there, but Miami was one of the names that has been talked about, not necessarily by Killebrew, but in general conversation of MLR about being a city that has expressed interest, that there's potential of a bid. So I wouldn't be shocked if the Miami Sun, again, they do a World Tens team, and then you look to scale it into another competition, exactly like what Asia Pacific Dragons are trying to do, maybe into Super Rugby. And gosh, the Ohio Aviators are back, and
that's the one I was looking at.
My point. Yeah. I was waiting for a moment to say, well, the Ohio Aviators were originally, a original club of Pro 14, and one of our good friends, Chris Shade, he's been pounding that drum for a Columbus MLR team. He's a Columbus guy too, so I mean, it wouldn't be too much of a stretch to think, well, and they had a great support, a great support system there with fans and the community in Ohio. They already have a stadium built for rugby in the area, so that's one of the biggest figures. That's
very rare in this time, having a stadium in the US that's dedicated to rugby. We went through the list of it, and it's a small one. Yeah, so right. It's always a plus.
And I think they were separate groups, but Columbus was even close to taking over the Austin franchise before Gilchrist came in and outbid them.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so there was a group. I from my understanding, it was a totally separate group from the Ohio Aviators now. But I guess my emphasis in that is that MLR was at least receptive to the Columbus idea, and with Obet's Fortress, that venue, they hosted the 15s. I don't know if it was semifinals or maybe finals as well, for women's Division 1, 2, and then men's 2 and 3, I believe, and maybe it was the men's D1 semifinals here, regional semifinals, just last year at that venue. So it can support a large crowd. It's obviously geared towards rugby. It also at the time doubled with the Ohio Machine, which was a professional lacrosse team. They have since sort of disbanded and are no more. But so the venue is vacant, and I'm sure they're looking for revenue streams to keep that afloat, because quite frankly, Obetz needs it.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I'm just excited for just more rugby. I'm just missing it, especially in the US.
Rugby back.
Yeah, seriously.
It's there.
I just can't wait for it to all start. But yeah, let's move into the last topic, and this is obviously one that's close to home for me is when we're going to hear something from Los Angeles. So obviously the team name, the LA Giltinis, we still haven't seen them on the website. Their logo isn't on where everybody else's is, but the Dallas Jackals is, and the ATL's new logo is technically on there. So what my understanding is obviously I heard from some confidential sources that they had a marketing plan that they were saving for, and around this time, I believe September, October, they were planning on releasing some big information and dropping some big knowledge. But obviously with the pushback of the season being confirmed, there is a possibility that that could have changed. So I'll go to you, Cam, first. Is what do you think is the big reason why we're still hearing radio silence, and why they aren't on the website?
Your guess is as good as mine. I think some of the takeaways we have from the schedule being announced is they're on the schedule, so they're playing. And that's as much as we can pretty much confirm, without doubt right now. There's been 2 players that have been confirmed, handful of other rumors from allocation players from the Raptors and other players just that were, I guess, free agents that have signed with them, and some internationals that are rumored there, but nothing confirmed. It's very, very confusing. I don't know that confusing is the right word, but very just
I would probably say
perplexing.
Confusing is a facet of it, because you've obviously, but we've spoken about it before, is that the Gilgronis, when they were going through their rebranding and when they were going through everything with the Gilchrist, a lot of people call it the Gilchrist Mafia, is that they do have a lot of very quiet time, and then out of nowhere they'll do a whole bunch of stuff, and they'll make a bunch of announcements, and they'll just go crazy with a lot of different facets of their club. So confusion, definitely, I'll pay that.
Well, and the one thing about, I guess, if we're using Austin as our baseline, is when they took over Austin, it was clear, concise, and, wheels were going 100 miles an hour forward. They had their brand, they had what they were going for. They were going to bring in big names, pump pump money into that club. And, it was the blockbuster. It was very,
it was an invasive takeover.
Yeah, it was consistent. It was smooth. And you just you had the feeling that these guys knew what they were doing. They were going to do it, and there's no deviation from the plan, because it was very thoughtful, and they had given their due diligence to it. LA, I guess we just can't tell if that's the case or not, because there's just been nothing to go off of.
So with that logic, we could probably be sitting there going, they still know what they're doing, and they're just waiting for their optimal time. So yeah, I guess we like a lot of things, we won't know until we know, or until we see it. But yeah, Walker, what's your take on this? What do you think is the main reason for the radio silence?
Well, I'll preface that with I think radio silence is detrimental to them right now. Even if it was some level of transparency to say, guys, it's coming, or hey, we've pushed back our timeline. There's a level of communication, and you talk about any relationship, communication is key, and you're talking to the 28-year-old single guy, so take what you want. But in all seriousness, when you talk about a group and a level of transparency, that's what us as fans and consumers want. We want to know what's going on to the best of the extent that they can share. And I wholeheartedly appreciate that there's nuances and facets that they can't share quite yet, because they're not ready, or they've got a very concise marketing plan to ramp up to the season. And if that's been pushed, if the start of the season's been pushed back, well, so should your marketing plan to then coincide with that. But it's as simple as a communication to say,
just some substance, because obviously with the kind of feel that everyone has been getting about the team, nobody likes the branding. They're basically turning around and saying they're turning this competition that could be amazing into a joke with this kind of marketing plan, which is disappointing to hear, because I've been waiting a long time for a Major League Rugby team or just a professional rugby team in general to come to Los Angeles because it's an untapped market. There's so much love for rugby here. And to hear so many people go, I don't want to support that team, I'm going to go support this team over here or this team over here rather than one in their backyard, it is disappointing. So I agree with you in some way, shape or form, is even if they were just doing, like you said, it's coming, or just building and building and building and just throwing in little Easter eggs or nuggets here and there, at least that way it keeps people engaged, not just sitting there and going, oh, wait 6 months and then let's just throw everything at them at one point in time. So,
yeah.
And I think that content can always be manufactured. You can look around the league right now, and if teams aren't posting, it's just for a lack of effort, in my opinion. I think an excellent point is New England. Whoever runs for social media, one, stop posting stuff at 7 a.m. I'm trying to enjoy my morning coffee, and when you guys post stuff at 7 a.m., it's really hard to choke it down and get something out for Rugby Index. But if that's not possible, they're an excellent source of, they do a great mix of announcing players, announcing coaches, talking about their engagement with the community. If there's a club to model your social media and your outreach with, it's New England. And I don't know if you saw their recent release of their academy system that's going.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's unbelievable. And the point I'm making is there's content that can always be manufactured. No matter what's going on, no matter, even if you're in the middle of COVID. I mean, look at the league. They did a video game tournament to create content. Get people together.
Pretty cool.
Yeah, and it's cool. It's engaging. It's something. And I think as long as you're putting out something, people, will eat it up and will, it gives them something to hold on to. Like, hey, this is my team. It's the LA team. This, we're just waiting for something big. And when there's nothing, it's our brains will lose attention. We're Americans.
And we spoke about it. Is there a potential that a possible rebrand could be in the works, and that could be potentially why they're holding off on sharing a lot of information or posting a lot, because they wouldn't obviously want to post a Giltinis logo everywhere if they're going to go through a rebrand? Is that a possibility?
Maybe, but again, you look at how immediate and invasive the Gilgroni takeover was. I mean, it was the Austin Huns, or I guess it was the Huns were the men's club, and then but you had Austin Elite, you had the Austin Herd, which was their transition just at the start of the phase before Gilgroni's. The Herd was the rebrand, and then it was the Herd for maybe 3 or 4 games, and then wham bam, you have the Gilgronis, and it's immediately taken over, and it was a super invasive, very immediate takeover. So I mean, could in the realm of possibilities, yeah, there could absolutely be a rebranding in the works, and maybe this is a little bit more thoughtful and a little bit more grassroots, maybe to LA. And what that means, I think that's tough to decipher, but certainly could be. But I would be surprised if that's the reason. I think it's just I wouldn't be surprised if they're the Giltinis for year one, maybe later on. But I would be surprised if they deviate from that. I think it's just a matter of them moving forward with their marketing plan, and when that does start to hit, to your point, I think it's going to be fast and furious. And for the record, I'm still convinced DTH Vandermeer is going to go there.
Yeah, we spoke about it. There's basically you do the process of elimination, and we spoke about how he's basically said no Canada, so that narrows it down. And then yeah, I think without him making an announcement and then LA doing the same thing, it's just two peas in a pod at the moment. It's you just got to put two together. But I think just off the top of my head, when I was just thinking about this, is they've already announced their coaches. So I've got a good idea for something they can do for marketing. Is Stephen Hoyles has already done an interview with the Rugby Rant, and I know they've done that, but get them on content. Like they've got to have some free time, and we already know who they are. They could be answering questions. They could be going through tutorials for grassroots stuff. They could do a bunch of different things, but at least that way they're supplementing or they're getting some content for the LA community. And at least that way we'll get some buy-in. But yeah, at the moment, I just don't think it's a good plan just to sit and wait and then just drop a whole bunch of other stuff.
Which kind of boggles my mind, because the Giltinis do a very good job on social media. They're constantly producing content and well-produced. It's not even necessarily, pertinent to roster changes or coaching changes. It's through quarantine, it was, and obviously Giltinis didn't have a team quite yet, but they were, what house would you be in? And they list 3 or 4 of each guys, and you pick your quarantine house. And to Cam's point, you can fabricate some of this stuff, and to your point as well, you can utilize the coaches and what you do have. So to see complete radio silence when there is very much so something to be created and produced, I'm sort of beside myself.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping we'll hear something soon, but we'll see. It'll be interesting, and I'll probably be the first person to hear it, having my feet on the ground here. But yeah, super excited to see what they come up with regardless, because I just want to see the outcome. I just want to see if it works or if it doesn't. And then if it doesn't, scrap it, get a new product, and let's just keep rugby here. At least there's pro rugby here. That's all I want. So, yeah, let's go from there. But it's called the bonus point for a reason. With a lot of new signings coming this offseason, and also in the spirit of football being back, I thought it would be great for us to do a fantasy draft to highlight who we think is going to be making the biggest impact this upcoming season. So, just to clarify, it's only going to be players that have been signed in this offseason. And if one of us picks a player, it's just going to be like a regular draft. They can't be picked again. So each person is going to get 5 selections. And I used a random draft order generator, and Walker's calling collusion, but that's how it worked. It came up with Cam, me, then Walker. And Cam, let's just kick it off. Who's your first pick?
I think to some, this one's going to be obvious. I think to others, they're going to call collusion again, but I'm going to kick it off with Bryce Campbell, U.S. Golden Boy. I know he's not officially been announced to Austin, but I think cat's out of the bag. People know he's going to be in Austin for 2021. And I think it's I think he's got 30-something caps with 32, 33, something like that with the Eagles. He's the star the league needs. And, I hope it's the start of a transition of these top-level Eagles coming back to MLR as their contracts overseas expire and find a home here in the States.
And we spoke about it before. I can already see Walker moving and changing something on his screen because I know you guys said, "Oh, we're gonna be zigging when you zag," and I'm gonna be just going, "Oh shit, someone picked one of my picks." So I'm gonna go. My team is gonna be pretty interesting for the people I pick, because I'm not only thinking about who they are as a player, is also what they can provide for the league and for the specific team. So this one is probably going to be interesting, but I'm going to go Drew Mitchell. So Drew Mitchell, someone I played with, I watched play a lot in Australia for a handful of different Super Rugby teams, and was a stellar test match player for the Wallabies. And that pains me to say because I'm a bloody All Blacks fan. But like the most prominent Australasian rugby players, he went over to France. He played a few seasons for Toulon. So even though he's still 36 and he's technically come out of retirement, he's got experience in both camps, in the European and the Australasian game. So he's got a great amount of knowledge to share with the team. And I thought he would have gone with the Australian-led LA team, or he would have gone to Austin. But supposedly he has a really good relationship with James Kennedy and Greg McWilliams at Rooney. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see him coming in, just not as a player, but as a player coach. So like we spoke about it before, as a Dan Carter coming into the Blues, or even a Kieran Reid coming into Counties Manukau at the moment at Mitre 10. He's obviously playing, but he's still able to offer a lot to that team, and it will benefit MLR greatly. So, Walker, you're up. Who you got first?
Gosh, you left the elephant in the room for me, and I do quite appreciate that. I got to go with Chris Robshaw. I mean,
I knew it. I knew it was coming. I kind of left it on the table just so I gave you that one.
I appreciate it. Well, and are we doing the snake draft style? Because then I get another pick, correct?
Yeah, why not? Let's do that. Yeah.
And so I go with Chris Robshaw. He's ended his 200 something caps at the Harlequins, and he seems to really want to not only elevate his kind of legacy on the sport and really grow his brand, obviously in San Diego, but he seems very eager to elevate MLR and elevate San Diego, not just from a media perspective and eyeballs, but a level of play. And so,
and that's who we want in this competition. It's not just people coming in just to get a contract or get that just, I guess, a year in America. It's definitely people we want to elevate the competition and the players.
Exactly. And so I'm super excited for that. I hope it stays that. And I'm not calling him disingenuous in any way, but I hope it's not all talk. I hope he continues to walk the walk, because thus far he has. And that's what we want. So after that, I take a very quick kind of deviation. I just went with my favorite name, Jack Ram. Gosh, that's a phenomenal loose forward name. How can you not pick that? I want to see him on every highlight reel of lighting somebody up. And I love watching loose forwards at the breakdown and getting to the first hit. So
like a front row.
And he's played a lot for Tonga and Tonga Sevens, and he's played for Northland as well. So he's got a lot of experience. And yeah, I think the commentating is just going to come organically. It's got to be some nickname with the word Ram in it. That's got to come up. It will be incredible.
The Ramrod. I mean, I don't know if I'm allowed to say that.
I don't know. You said it. It's done. It's out in the world. It's not coming back anytime soon. All right. I think I'm up if I'm doing the math correctly, and I think I'm going to stick with my current trend. And my next pick is going to be Jamie McIntosh, who signed with Austin. So former All Blacks player, he played for the Highlanders and the Chiefs, is familiar with the American rugby system and played for the Ohio Aviators. And he's still only 35 years old. Obviously, you want the younger, the better. But once again, he's going to provide a lot of experience to this Austin team and just to the MLR in general. And I think that's what a lot of those young guys in Austin are going to need, is just tutelage here and there, little tips when some coaches may not be able to spend that one-on-one time. They can get just the little help they need to elevate their game.
Wappa.
Yeah, I love that guy. He's awesome. All right, Cam, you're up.
I don't know. You guys missed out on this. Manuel Montero up in Toronto. I can't believe you guys skipped over him. He's honestly one of the few players that's coming over in the prime of his career. 28 years old, I think 30 or close to 30 caps for Argentina. The guy's a massive wing, 6'4", 200 something pounds. Human highlight reel. I think again another star in the making for the league, and that's what the league is currently kind of missing, is those superstars and not just in the twilights of their career, but in their current primes coming over in players. So I think he complements my boy Bryce quite well.
And you get the snake draft, so you get the double pick, don't you?
Yeah, I do. And this next one is kind of a bit of a zag, but I'm going to go with Wayan Conradi out of Namibia.
Oh, that's an interesting one. Okay,
I think what I've really enjoyed with a lot of the Jaguares players and Argentinian and Uruguayan players coming up this year and the last year as well is it's a new avenue to bring in top-level talent. And to be honest, there's top-level talent in Africa that aren't in South Africa, that aren't, in the Springbok programs. There's, Kenya's got an excellent sevens program. Namibia has been, I think, They were obviously in the last World Cup. I think they were in the World Cup before that. They have had multiple appearances to the point. I think finding alternate talent pools would be phenomenal for MLR. And I think nations outside of South Africa, in Africa, would be a great place to start. So,
yeah, okay, I'll pay that. So I think it's me again. Am I doing the math right? Am I going to get less picks than you guys? Are you guys picking more with this snake stuff? Because I can't think. Is it double?
Yeah, we'll all get 5.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I don't want to get cheated, guys. I don't want to get cheated. Okay, so I'm going to stick with my current trend again. And it's funny you bring up South Africa because my next one is a former South African Test match player, and he's been a part of some Super Rugby teams and European Championship teams. Bjorn Basson in San Diego. So really enjoying what he has had as a career so far, and I really think that he's going to be, like you said, not necessarily in his prime, but definitely someone that he's one of those marquee players where a lot of people will know who he is, or he'll be able to provide a lot of great gameplay and a lot of knowledge. So that's my pick there. And yeah, I'm still surprised there's one person that's still on the board, but let's see if someone picks it. Ooh.
Oh gosh, now there's a lot of pressure. I gotta go with Dougie Fife.
I knew someone was going to go there just from the name alone. You got to pick him.
I was waiting for him to come back around to me.
I'm excited for what he brings to the table. I'm not 100% positive where he fits into the back line. Could be a 10 technically, could be a 15, could be a winger.
Yeah.
But I think that's part of the versatility that he brings. Obviously, tons of experience in the 7 circuit, and is he's not unfamiliar to the 15 style. Probably needs to pack on some LBs and get a little bit more cushion. But I think he will slot right in, and hopefully quarantine in that sense has treated him well, being able to pack on the pounds, and I'm excited for him. If nothing else, a great name.
He's definitely got a lot of potential, and I think with that 7s background, he's definitely going to add some more speed and elusiveness to this competition, and it's definitely something that I think it would favor more. I think when you think of MLR comparatively to a lot of other competitions like Europe competitions, they're definitely more speed and ready to go and ready to fire. Not necessarily known for the massive hits. There are some there, but you're not waiting for a really fully packed scrum ready to go against another really fully packed scrum. So yeah, with his 7s experience, and hopefully you'll be able to put on some LBs, especially with some good food here in the US. I definitely reckon he can.
That northeast can really a lot of powders and some good eatings up there.
Carb Central, yeah, it'll be great. Yeah. All right, yeah. What's your second one?
Okay, this one I just had it. I will stay.
We should have put like a timer on this. Like you only get 15 seconds or something to keep it short and sharp.
I'm going to go with Eric de Jager in New England again. The front rower, and I think New England, if they had room to add a little bit of depth, it was in their front row. So a guy that I think can step in, compete for that starting position, if not take it. And I'm just excited to bring maybe another South African into New England. And it seemed like, at least in year one, they had quite a few what I'll consider kind of homegrown talents, and were very domestic heavy. And so as they're continuing to build out their side, really excited to see the internationals that they're starting to integrate to their team.
All right, so this is going to be a tough question, not because I don't know who I'm going to pick, it's just who I'm going to pick, because there's so many good options still on the table. There's a South African that I could pick, an Argentinian, but I think I'm going to stick with my Polynesian roots, and I'm going to go Tuadraki Samusamu-Vodre, who signed with Dallas. He's played for multiple Fijian sides in Rapid Rugby and Australian NRC competition. So I'm going away from my experienced 3 that I've picked. And I'm just really liking this guy because, one, he's got so much potential. He's still so young, and he's able to provide a lot. And I just want to see some Fijian razzle-dazzle brought to MLR. It's something where I've been wanting to see that for a while. But, yeah, I really hope that the commentator has a lot of fun pronouncing his last name every time he does anything
He
good.
did that
So
exceptionally well.
Yeah, I had to look at the name a couple of times, and I was sitting there going, "Come on, I got to nail this. I got to do it for all the bros back home." So yeah, got a lot of Fijian friends, and they'll be going, "Mana, you did so well. That's such a good pronunciation." So yeah, hope all the boys love that one. But yeah, Cam, you're up. I'm pretty sure I know who you're gonna pick.
Oof. Now I'm trying to think of who you think I was going to pick. Now I'm thinking about not picking it.
See, I'm playing mind games with you, bro. I'm just sending it out.
I honestly, one guy I'm really excited about, and I was very interested after mostly seeing his highlights because I didn't know a lot about him, was Lubabalu Ntembu for New England.
Okay, that wasn't who I thought you were going to pick.
Yeah.
Okay, you threw a wrench in the works straight away. Jesus.
I think I'm really excited to watch him simply because of the way he's going to be incorporated off lineouts and an open play. I think with New England signings, they've signed a lot of top-level sevens players or guys with a lot of sevens experience. So I think they are going to try to keep it an open play and offloads and a really exciting dynamic style of play, and I think he feeds into that really well. I assume he's going to play 8-man for them, but a guy who's got sevens experience, but also can play 8-man. I think it's a really dynamic skill set. So I'm really excited to see how he, factors into not only their pack but also their back line there.
I'm thinking what I'm loving a lot about a lot of these signings is the versatility of each player. Like, you're not getting a lot of these players aren't specific wing players or specific centers. They can play everywhere in the back line, or they can play multiple positions, or they have sevens experience where they can be trained to do that stuff, which is going to be really good for this competition, because if you need to throw in people here and there, left and right, when you do have those people getting taken out of the competition for international or for sevens, it's going to be really good to have that versatility available. All right, so it's your last pick, Cam. No pressure, but it's got to be a good one because
this last one, I've had this one picked out from the start, and I'm going to do it just out of spite because I think, TJ, you're going to do it last. I've got Patrick Madden.
Oh, you suck. Oh, man. Why you got to take that away from me? I coached that kid, and I wanted to give him a shout-out on the final one, but yeah, okay, take it away. Love you, Patty. But someone else picked you. I'm sorry, bud. All right,
I was just so impressed with his skills. And I think he is I think it's good to highlight the younger talent coming into the league, and that the MLR is doing something different with the draft and the different pathways that they've created for athletes to get to the league. So that's my
he's definitely one. He's been playing rugby. He's one of the few people in America that has played rugby since he was a little kid, and he's been a part of a lot of American select sides, and I've just seen him grow and grow and grow every year. And I think even the better part is that he's so well spoken. He's very intelligent.
He's a golden boy.
He's going to be in the next 3 to 5 years. He's going to be America's poster child, because you look at that smile, you look at that face, you look at him ripped. I'm jealous of him every time I stand next to him. I look at him and go, why you got to be the pretty boy and make me look ugly? Come on, what are you doing?
But that's what the league needs, is a face they can grab onto
and market.
He's a young Tom Brady. That's all he is.
Oh man, don't say that. Come on, not Tom. You're speaking to a Giants fan here. We took him down, so there you go. But yeah, not Tom Brady. Come on, no, don't. We don't bring him onto these airwaves.
Nobody likes Peyton Manning for his looks.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I love his commercials that he's doing now. They're annoying as hell, but they're definitely funny. The nationwide ones, but yeah, that's a whole nother complete topic. All right, so there's Two people I probably could have chosen. I want to make some a little shout out. Obviously, DTH and Batista Exera, Argentinian test player. I wanted to choose either one of those, but I'm going to go with Joe Johnson, round it out with a New Zealand player. We spoke about him previously in the episode. Very talented player, has a lot of potential to help the MLR environment. I think if we can keep him here as well, I believe he's American. He is a passport, or his mother is American or something like that. So let's keep him here and let's develop him in the American system and keep him in Major League Rugby, and hopefully he can become one of our marquee players for the competition. All right, final pick, Walker.
I'm ready for it. I will follow suit with Cam a little bit. I'll go with the youth and a draftee, Bronson Tellys out of Arizona. Gosh, does he look like a loose forward? I love everything about it. I mean, his traps goes up to his ears, and I was watching. He was doing an interview with Dallas on their Instagram takeover, and he was saying that he could bench press over 400 pounds, and that's what I like in my 7. And I was listening to. I'm remiss of the podcast. It might be one of the Texas Rugby podcasts, and they were talking about how he's going to develop into our lineup, and is he a 7? Is he a 6? Is he an 8? He's obviously very clearly a loose forward at the MLR level. Could he slot into a lock? Maybe. I think his athleticism would be limited in there, and get him out in the open, get him at the breakdown as quick as possible. And I love him to be a young starter for Dallas at the 7 position. And I think his ability to dominate the breakdown and be a young star, I'm super excited about. So Bronson Tellys with my final, and I think that's the final of the draft.
Yeah, no, it was a good one. There's a lot of great picks, because we wouldn't have picked them if they weren't great. But definitely, I think we'll post that up on social media, and we'll see who got the best of the draft, and see what the public thinks. I'm gonna win. I'm just saying, because of my experience. But I think it definitely just pulls it full circle, and you get to see how much of this amazing talent we're looking forward to seeing in the Major League Rugby competition, and just them alone, plus every other player that's already a part of a program already. It's going to be a great season, pandemic aside. No matter what happens, I'm really looking forward to it. But great episode, guys. I'm super excited to see what's happening next. And I'm going to do what I do every episode. Next week or next episode, we're going to talk about nothing. And I jinx myself, and then we're going to be talking about a million different things, like a million different signings and all this other different stuff. But any other information you guys want to share about the Rugby Index before I let you guys go? Anything coming up or anything to look forward to?
Nothing immediately. We're hoping to expand on what we're covering right now, obviously exclusive to MLR, and here based out of Cincinnati and Ohio. We're starting to tap specifically the Ohio Aviators, but there might be something bigger at play there. So we'll leave it at that. But
see, that's a good marketing plan. You give us a little chunk, that's it, and then you
LA,
leave the rest to imagination. See, come on, LA, pick it up. Let's go. Well, thank you very much, guys, for tuning into our Major League Rugby episode. Check out the Rugby Index. They're basically the only people that are staying consistent with signings, player tracking, all that kind of stuff. And Cam's always there posting. I see some good comments and some good replies as well that you guys do as well. You and Walker, you have some good banter on the Instagram and the Twitter page. So it's good fun. So keep in touch with them and check out all the Major League Rugby news, and we will post our draft signings up, and we'll see what you guys think about how we did. But thank you very much for tuning in to the Bonus Point Rugby podcast.